Hello everybody. Today's video is going to begin with an apology. You see, I was hoping to review a Porsche Boxster, but it's become very clear to me from the literally dozens of comments that I received on my last Porsche video that this is not a Porsche at all. This, I am told, is a Porsche, because that is how they say it in Germany. And I really appreciate the fact that I have many fans that want to get absolutely everything right, and I agree that striving for accuracy is a very correct and very German thing to do. Therefore, I intend to try and make today's review of this Porsche as correct and as German as I can. Let us begin with the exterior of the car. An Englishman would look at it and say, it's a very beautiful, nice car in this lovely shade of God's red. Now, a German would correctly say that it was Indischrot, and a German would not say it's pretty. In fact, to see this car as a German would, I'm going to enlist the help of my friend, James. The car is correct. Now we will move on to the engine. In the new cars, the naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine is replaced with a flat-4 turbocharged unit of 2 litres, or in the Boxster S and GTS, 2.5 litres capacity. The S has the variable turbine geometry derived from the Porsche 911 Turbo. This is a more powerful and more efficient engine than the one it replaces. Therefore, it should be better. In fact, the changes with this car were so dramatic that Porsche did not want to continue using the names Boxster and Cayman. And they even changed the prices so that the convertible was more expensive than the coupe, which previously had not been true, and of course was not the normal thing to do. Porsche simply wanted to call this range 718, Coupe Cabriolet. However, the annoying people in marketing told the glorious German engineers that would not be possible. So now this car is called Porsche 718 Boxster S. However, truthfully, I should not call this 718 because that is not what they would call it in Germany. In Germany, they would call it 718. And so that is what I will call the car. Before we take the car out, I want to quickly show you the interior. It is in classic, stylish and very safe schwarzes Leder. Notice here also the car is equipped with the excellent Porsche Doppelkupplung. This is a 7-speed gearbox and it enables the driver to shift much faster than any useless human being can. It is a masterpiece of technology and is easily the best gearbox currently fitted to any car. On the steering wheel, you will notice a small dial allowing you to choose whatever mode you wish to drive in. In the middle is a small button. If you press this button, the car will instantly set you into its sportiest mode, allowing you to perform brief moments of heroism or overtaking in the name of the glorious German people, or just to get past some straggler on the A140. Now, let's take the car out. Now, before I talk about performance or anything else, I want to discuss what I think was Porsche's biggest mistake with the new 718. Price. How much do you think a Boxster costs? 40k? 50k? 60k? Well, if you were to go on the Porsche website, you would find that a Boxster starts at about £44,000. That's not too bad, I think. Yes, it's more expensive than it was, but that's because it came out 20 years ago. So that's fine. But I went on the Porsche website the other day and I decided to configure myself a 718 or 718 Boxster S to what I would consider my ideal specification. wasn't going crazy, I wasn't going silly, I just ticked the options that suited me as a sporty driver, but somebody that wants some luxury. So I included things like the bucket seats, the Porsche adaptive suspension in sports mode, and a few luxuries like a nice sound system. The price of that car? £76,000. Now, with a lot of manufacturers, you could say, yes, you see, but the price that you see is not the price that you pay. Well, no. You see, at the present time, Stuttgart have a policy of no discount. I know a gentleman, another YouTuber called Roger Bailey. Hi, Roger, if you're watching. He recently spent over 120k on a 911 Targa, and not a penny of discount they were willing to give to him. So the idea that you'd be able to get discount on a Boxster, well, don't bank on it. The other issue, of course, is that at the moment, the factory is experiencing a shutdown. They're currently prepping for the next generation of engines, complete with petrol particulate filters, and the 911 factory is gearing up for 992. So if you wanted a new 718, you'd have to wait quite a while. In fact, it's July now, and if you ordered one today, you probably wouldn't see that car until spring. So that's not good. Now, with the 718, the main thing everybody talked about was that engine. For two reasons. Number one, they all miss the sound of that glorious old six-cylinder. A lot of people sat there and said, it's a Boxster 4, it's gonna sound like a Subaru. No, it doesn't really sound like anything. I mean, what does that sound like to you guys? It's not a Subaru. It's not a Porsche. It's just a noise. And the other thing, of course, is turbo lag. Now, I'm not a big fan of turbocharged engines in general, and I'm definitely not a fan of them in sports cars. I believe that anything that insulates the driver from the driving isn't generally a good thing. The engine is pretty responsive. What is super responsive is the gearbox. PDK is absolutely best in class, no doubt about it. Now, all this week, I've been tootling around in an Audi RS3. That has a 2.5 litre engine, so same capacity as this, 5-cylinder, so one up, 400 horsepower, so considerably up on power. It's a fairly characterful engine, but it is quite boosty. Now, this is definitely less boosty, very predictable. It's helped by that gearbox, which is just razor sharp. One of my criticisms of double clutch boxes, and it's true even of the RS3 I'm driving, is that when you're not pressing on, they behave a little slowly. Even when in sport mode, if you're just poodling, they try and deliver you a smooth, automatic-like shift. Now, that's certainly been programmed in. That's not a hardware fault, that's not a design flaw, that is deliberately programmed behavior. The way Porsche do things, I much prefer. If I tell it I want a sporty gear change, it gives me a sporty gear change. I'm in 4th gear at 3,000 RPM, doing about 50 miles an hour, and if I change down, bang, instant. Change up, instant. Change up, instant. Down, instant. It's brilliant. I cannot fault it. This chassis also is absolutely sublime. But before we get it onto some very good roads that'll allow me to test it a little bit more, this being an authentically German review, there's something I need to discuss with you, and it's very important. I need to now talk to you about something which is very close to the heart of the German people. That is their sausages. Because one should never get between a German man and his sausage, or as they would rightly call it, a Wurst. You see, much like the 7-18, the German Wurst is often misunderstood by the common Engländer Schweinhund. And so, to further relationships between our two great countries, I am now going to explain some of the key types of German Wurst available, what they are, why and when you should eat them. So, we have here, in a very simple and logical and German order, the sausages. To begin your day, you should eat something like this. This is a Nürnberger. We have here Kupfer Original Nürnberger. They are a type of Rostbratwurst. That is a sausage that you can cook under the grill, in the oven. You can prepare this a number of different ways. It is a classic sausage with a lot of herbs in it, and it's got a lot of flavor. It's very good. You can have it for breakfast, but you can also have it as an evening meal. If having it like that, one should eat at least a dozen so as not to offend your host. Next, we come to the classic Bratwurst. A real German Bratwurst should be freshly prepared. It often contains no preservatives or additives, so should be eaten on the very day of purchase or frozen for later efficient consumption. This is Thüringer. It is named for the glorious region of Thuringia. It is a simple and classic recipe, ideally eaten as so or in a small bread roll called Brötchen. The Brötchen should be very small, very tough, very difficult to eat because you're not meant to enjoy it. It is simply a way to hold the sausage without getting your hands needlessly greasy and wet. This is one of my favorite types of sausage. It is considerably more substantial than the Nürnberger, and who doesn't like a big sausage? However, even more impressive in length, if not girth, is this. This, you may or may not recognize, is a Frankfurter. Everybody knows the Frankfurter, not to be confused with a Wiener, which is not the same thing and is absolutely not funny. I remind you all that a German joke is no laughing matter. Frankfurter is a type of Bockwurst. Bock simply means boil. These sausages should be prepared by boiling until they are ready. They will tell you when they are ready through a small system of communication, probably some sort of SMS or something like that. So that is how you eat these. These are acceptable to be eaten in a roll, and they come in a number of different sizes. They are lightly smoked and they are nice, but they're not my favorite. Most popular in Germany, and possibly a staple food for the German people, is this. It is Currywurst. It is a small sliced sausage in a mixture which is essentially a tomato ketchup with a curry paste inside it. The exact recipe for Currywurst differs from person to person. You will find tens of thousands of different Imbissstuben selling their own specialized Currywurst throughout the glorious fatherland. This Currywurst in eine Dose is not really the best I've ever seen. It is okay if you're in a real pinch and haven't got the time to prepare your own Currywurst. And if you haven't got the time to prepare your own Currywurst, you really need to think about what you're doing with your life. Of course, the accompaniment for any of these should be quite simple. It should be either a Brötchen, in the case of these. With these, you probably have them for breakfast, or with simple and classic Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is simply pickled white cabbage. It's got a nice sharp taste. A lot of people turn their nose up at it, but sauerkraut should be eaten with sausage on the same implement, and it is actually very nice. I highly recommend grilling this. One could also have some simple Bratkartoffeln, that is sliced potatoes, to enjoy with the glorious German sausage. However, it would not be a complete German meal without ein German Trink. And so, I have here a good German beer. It is Früh, Kölsch. Früh is the name of the brand. Kölsch is the type of beer. It is a nice, light, refreshing beer. And to be a Kölsch, one must follow a very strict set of rules and be brewed in or around the glorious city of Cologne. On a day like today, this is the perfect refreshment. However, because I'm doing the driving, I will not be enjoying this lovely beer, because that would mean breaking the rules, and for any good German, that is not possible. Instead, I will get my assistant to check the beer for correctness and tastiness. The beer is correct. That is his happy face. Und now, back to the wagon. I hope you enjoyed that important lesson about German culture. Unfortunately, English culture dictates that we drive in a 60 mile per hour limit at only 24 miles per hour. This, however, is a great opportunity for me to talk to you about the suspension. In several reviews that I've done, I've criticized the suspension in cars, including sports cars, for being too firm. This has made some of you unhappy because you believe that sports cars should be stiff. You're wrong. They don't need to be stiff at all. On roads like this in particular, if a suspension is too stiff, the car will start to skip, the wheel won't touch the ground, and if you have the stickiest rubber in the entire universe, it'll do you no good if it's not touching the ground. This is very well damped. It is firm but supple. I can in fact change how I have the chassis. It is now in sport, and it is now in normal. You can do this independently of the throttle and traction control settings. Now we have a clear road. Let's test the performance. As you can see, the car has plenty of torque to be interesting, even on relatively good dry roads. It's simply the soundtrack which doesn't really fill you with joy. And that is a big problem for me. Because a sports car, to me, is not really about point-to-point speed, it's about the experience. And this car ticks every other box. I love the looks of it. I love the way that it rides. I love the steering. The feel through this beautiful kleines Steuerrad is very, very good. This is reference level for how to do electric steering. It whitens up and the car gives me the confidence to take corners with vigor and know that I'm going to get out them alive. The gearbox even is actually a joy to use. You see, some dual clutch boxes, like the one in the Audi that I'm using, really are best left to their own devices. Now, the truth of the matter is that in that car, my issue is the car being too quiet. I simply can't hear what the engine's doing. But with this car, on a day like today, I can hear just enough to know exactly when I need to change, what to do. This car is a delight. However, it is simply too expensive. The reality is that if you want to buy a Boxster S, which previously would have been the mainstay of the range, I would give you one simple piece of advice. If you want a Boxster S, either go nowhere near the options list or just buy a GTS. You see, with the GTS, although it starts at a much higher price, many thousands higher in fact, you get at least that amount of extra kit, plus a little bit more power, a number of little changes that do make a considerable difference. And the fact of the matter is that it's actually the same price as speccing a Boxster S to the same level. So there's really no point in doing that. What you may have noticed though, if you've been looking at the used market for these, is that the prices of these are falling fast. And 981 prices are holding fairly firm. Which is the better car? Of course it's this one. It's the newer car. It's better. It's faster. Everything about it is incredible. Even the engine is very, very good. And I, generally speaking, do not like single turbocharged engines. But if you want a sports car experience, the 981 is superb. If I was going to buy a car from scratch, I'd tempt people into getting one of these simply because the current situation means that if you're buying used, you're going to get an awful lot more car for your money. However, if I already had a 981, I don't think I would swap. I hope you've enjoyed today's review, and I hope that you've found my pronunciation of Porsche to be to your satisfaction. I would like you to leave your comments in die kleine Kaste herunter, and I will see you nächste Woche. Dankeschön und auf Wiedersehen. Hello everybody. What I should do is I shall click my fingers, you'll come over, I will hand you one end of the tape measure. Yeah, you hold it. I walk to the back and go, it is correct. No, I'm transitioning, you see. The video slowly transitions. The 718 has a set of In fact, this is a German happy face. No smile. Yeah. This is German happy face. Just put it as a Benson, just have it. It is made of good quality schwarzes Leder. Und der Sicherheitsgurt ist rot. I hope people at home are learning. These are important things. It has classic schwarzes Leder and it comes with ein Freihund. Poppy, get out of the review.